Welcome to the Mom Room. I am coming to you from 10 milligrams of Vyvanse. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my ADHD. You know what it sounds like when you say ADHD? I think about HGTV. So I have a hard time saying ADHD because in my mind I'm saying HGTV, which is just my own personal problem. But anyways, here is so far what happened. You guys know months ago, I went to my doctor, had this like big long conversation, and we had been talking about it a little bit before I actually made a full appointment just to go over ADHD things, and talk to her about what I was experiencing and, talk seriously about medication options. So she was already well aware of a lot of the things that were bugging me, and I never really wanted to do the medication. I don't know why. I don't know why. And I think it's because I am always the first person to recommend medication, because when I was really struggling with anxiety back in, it would have been 2009-ish, I was ready to drop out of grad school, really, really bad anxiety. I went to my doctor, broke down in his office, explained everything that I was experiencing. He prescribed me citalopram, and I had amazing results right away. And I know that's not the case with everybody. Like, a lot of people try medication and they have to try different kinds or different dosages. Like, it takes a while to figure out a medication to help you. And that always deters me from trying ADHD meds because I don't want to deal with the side effects. And so this is what happened. She prescribed me 10 milligrams. So the pills that are in the bottle are each 10 milligrams of Vyvanse, which is a new ADHD medication that so many people recommend and rave about because it has less side effects. I think it's longer lasting in your system from what I understand. And again, talk to your doctor. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. These are just little tidbits of information that I have picked up just learning myself and reading people's comments and people DMing me and telling me their experiences. From what I understand, other ADHD medication options are shorter acting in your body. So a lot of people feel great for the first half of the day and then they crash in the afternoon. But then actually some people do still have the insomnia thing. So if you look at symptoms or side effects of ADHD medication, because it is a stimulant, it's like amphetamine. It is insomnia, anxiety, heart palpitations, all the things that you would expect from taking a stimulant. And so I was always terrified of it affecting my sleep because sleep to me is first and foremost, the top priority for me. I don't sleep with my husband in bed because I want a good sleep. Okay. So I was always hesitant to try it because so many people said, when they started taking it, they weren't sleeping. And I was like, that sounds like a nightmare. Then my problem would be not sleeping. If I had to choose a problem, it would be ADHD and not sleeping. So anyways, a few weeks ago, I finally, after having the medication at my house for so long, and the thing is, I would be like, okay, I'm going to start taking it. But then I would forget to set my alarm really early because in my mind, I was like, I'm going to take it as early as possible so that it doesn't affect my sleep, so that it's out of my system by the time I go to bed, just to make sure. And I would forget to set my alarm, or I would set my alarm and I didn't sleep well. So then when it went off, I would just turn it off and not take the medication. And I was just procrastinating taking the ADHD medication, which is ironic. So finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I set my alarm. I took it at, I think 6 a.m. This was a few weeks ago, and I just did one pill. So it was 10 milligrams, which is a low dose. And she said, you might want to start with 10. You've never taken something like this before. See how it reacts in your body, how you react to it. If you like it, some people absolutely hate the feeling. Cause it's really trial and error, right? Is this going to help me? Is this going to make me feel better? Is it going to solve the issues that I'm having? So I did 10 milligrams. And in my mind, I don't think I was paying attention enough that day to be like, oh, I felt actually really good. Like I was kind of productive. I wasn't paying attention. So in my mind, it didn't do anything to me. And I was like, oh, like it did nothing. It must be too low of a dose. And I slept perfectly fine. Like it had no effect on my sleep. So that was like a Thursday. And then I didn't take it again for weeks. And then I was getting fed up with myself. This is always what happens. Like I start to get really like fed up. I'm like, why is everything chaotic? I can't focus. Like I'm just like jumping from task to task. Like things don't get done. The house is a mess. Like everything is like, I'm just getting annoyed. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to take the Vyvanse back out, put it on my side table, set my alarm, and I'm going to try 20 milligrams because in my mind, I was like 10 did nothing. So I did that on Monday morning, woke up. I had a bunch of things to get done. I was like, this is the perfect day to test it out, see what happens. Took 20 milligrams at 6 a.m. and felt amazing. Like the whole day was so productive, was doing things that I was procrastinating forever. It was nuts. And a lot of people mention the noisiness in your head goes away and you're able to actually think thoughts, which is wild. So I found myself being able to be clear about what I had to get done and what is a priority and actually sit and like write things out and focus on one task at a time. It was just a lovely feeling. And then my husband and I that night went to see Shawn Mendes. So it was a late night for me because usually I go to bed at like 9:30. And by the time I got home and was in bed, it was midnight. And I was like, this is perfect. Like I'm exhausted. I can't wait to sleep. And I was wide awake. Even though you're physically tired, like you know you're exhausted and tired, I was wide awake. Could not sleep for the life of me. I had my sound machine on, like did all the normal things that I do, wide awake. So at 4 a.m., here I am on Reddit threads reading about people's experience with insomnia and Vyvanse. And it is such a common side effect. And people were like, yeah, I wasn't sleeping for like 2 weeks and then my body got used to it. And in my mind, I'm like, if I have one night of not sleeping, you bet your ass the next day I am not taking that medication. Like no way in hell. I, as you know, suffer from sinus issues and I cannot take decongestant medication that has ephedrine in it. Like I am so paranoid whenever I take medication to look to see if it has ephedrine, because if I take that, I will be wide awake all night. Yeah, my sinuses are clear, but I cannot sleep. It's brutal. And so I am very aware that I am super sensitive. Obviously, ephedrine is a stimulant, which is weird because one day I was sick. I had just like a basic cold and I was like, oh, I'm going to take NyQuil before bed, not realizing that it was a NyQuil complete, which meant it had more than just regular NyQuil in it. And one of the things in it was for decongestant and it was ephedrine. And I was up all night. I'm like, who takes NyQuil and is up all night? Me, this one. So I know I'm super sensitive to it. So anyway, all that to say, today, so I took the day off yesterday, was Tuesday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. So Monday was great, was on 20 milligrams of Vyvanse. Tuesday did not take any because I was like, if I don't sleep tonight, like shit's gonna hit the fan. Had an amazing sleep last night, set my alarm again for 6 a.m. today, and I just took 10. And I actually have an appointment with my doctor today, so hopefully we can discuss like what happened and kind of like a game plan. In my mind, I was like, okay, maybe I should drop back down to 10 and take that for a couple weeks so your body can adjust. Or maybe I'm just like super sensitive to stimulants and I'm not going to be able to take a medication like this for ADHD. Like, I don't know. So far on 10 today, I am feeling super good. I'm like, like ready to go, very focused. Normally I would come home from dropping off Milo at school and kind of like putter around and procrastinate and like, you know, and I'm not doing that. I got home, I was like, okay, recording solo, made my notes on a freaking, I bought a notepad that says making a list. It's like Christmas themed. So wrote out what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm like on the ball, like ready to go. I feel good. So I'm going to keep taking the 10 milligrams at 6 a.m. Hopefully my sleep tonight is not disturbed. We shall see. And I will keep you posted. I know people are so interested in ADHD things because I honestly think it is a symptom of our environment and how we live life nowadays. Because clearly when I was in grad school, living by myself, like obviously didn't have a child, I was super able to focus. Like I wrote a goddamn dissertation, you know, like I basically wrote a book, like was doing research, which it doesn't get much more like focused than that. Able to like read research articles and write papers and do all the things, like sit there and play with databases and run statistics. And I had zero issues. But now my life is so different, and the kind of work that I do is very, like when I first started the podcast, I was so focused and I had a clear idea of what each episode was going to be, like the solo episodes. And I would plan them out, and it was very organized, and now it's a lot more casual, but I have this craving to get back to being structured and having clear ideas and like really thinking through things and understanding my thoughts on like certain topics. Like I'm just craving that right now. And I think it has to do with burnout at the same time. It's like I'm starting to go down the path of being completely burnt out. And so I need to address it, and I need to make changes and figure out what's going to work for me moving forward. So trying all kinds of things. I'm like reading some books. I'm watching some YouTube videos from people who were creators for like 4 or 5 years, got super burnt out, took time off, like restructured how they do things. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, just doing a lot of reflecting and thinking about how can I feel better. And like, I don't want to quit, obviously. Like I'm obsessed with my job and what I do and the podcast, and but I need to change some things so that I don't get to that place where I'm just like not enjoying it anymore and not feeling so creatively like stumped. I think once you get to a certain level and you're creating so much content and talking about so many different things, you start to get like a creativity block, especially when it becomes your job. You know, before I could care less. Like I would just throw videos up and they would do well. But now I overthink everything, and I'm like, oh my God, and I'm worried about what I'm actually saying. And it's like a totally different ball game. Like once it becomes your job and you have this like pressure and expectation put on you. And it's so funny because I started, like I said, watching these YouTube videos and trying to like listen to other people's experiences and what they did to change things that were going on for them. And so just in like the past 3 or 4 days, I started to not care so much about TikToks that I was putting up, and just kind of like putting up ideas and things that came to my mind like in the moment. And those videos have done so well. So it is like a very interesting process, and I will keep you guys posted on it. So many people are interested in the ADHD topic. One little thing that I wanted to talk about before I get into other stuff. Last night I was putting Milo to bed and I was rubbing his back, and he just kind of said something out of nowhere about him wanting to be picked up early from school today. He was like, tomorrow, are you picking me up from school? I was like, yeah, I am. And he was like, can you pick me up early? And I was like, okay, tell me more. Like, why? Like, that really, it was like ding, ding, ding in my mind, because him playing after school in the after school program is his favorite thing in the world. He's always like, can you pick me up later? He doesn't want us to pick him up until his friends get picked up. So like, I don't know when your friends' parents are picking them up. Like, he loves it. He loves playing outside. Sometimes it's hard to get him in the car. And so when he was like, I want you to pick me up during school time, like early. And I was like, well, I can't do that. Mommy has a doctor's appointment in the afternoon. And school is important. Like, I can't just pick you up for no reason to come home. And I was like, why? Like, did something happen today? Like, just trying to ask questions to see, like, did you get into a fight with one of your friends? Like, I was like, did somebody do something to you that made you upset? Like, you can tell mommy anything and you can tell daddy anything. We're always going to love you and be on your side and support you. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I say in this moment? But he didn't say anything. He was just like, I just want to be picked up early. And I was like, okay. So this morning when I was driving him to school, I asked him again, I was like, do you still want mommy to pick you up early? Because I can pick you up as soon as school ends, but I can't pick you up during school. But as soon as school ends, I can pick you up before you go outside to play, if that's what you still want. And then he changed his mind this morning. He was like, no, actually, you can just pick me up when my friends get picked up. And I was like, okay. So I don't know what that was, but anytime he says something like that, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? Like, why do you want me to pick you up early? Like, who did what to you? Like, tell mommy. I will sort it out. But anyways, those moments I love those moments so much because it goes to show that he is comfortable saying things to us, you know? And sure, like maybe he didn't fully explain if anything happened or why he wanted to get picked up early. He was saying because he was tired. And honestly, he did go to bed super late the night before. So I was like, maybe he was just tired and like not feeling it and wanted to be, you know, at home watching TV. Like fair enough. Like sometimes I feel like that too. But I was happy that he at least started the conversation. And there's been a few things where he will, like in these quieter moments when we're just kind of laying down together, or if he's in the bathtub and we're like sitting beside the tub, he'll say something and we're like, oh, like, tell me more. And he will usually tell us. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope this line of communication continues for his whole life. And I feel like these little moments where he says these things now, like I want to be picked up early from school tomorrow, and we have a conversation about like why, these are the important moments that like build for the rest of his life to be able to have open communication with us and be comfortable to tell us these things. So anyways, that's just what I went through last night. I was so tired. And then he said that and I was like, oh my God, great. Now I have to sit here and like interrogate a 6-year-old about why he wants to be picked up early. Not interrogate, guys, calm down. There's always people that are going to be like, oh my God, she's interrogating her kid. Like, you know what I mean? Okay. I just wanted to understand. The only thing I want to talk about for pop culture today is Vanderpump Rules. Like, what is going on? The whole Vanderpump Rules world that I enjoyed so much for freaking 12 years now has exploded. It's literally done. I don't know if you guys heard this, and I feel like this hasn't even been big news. First of all, the first thing I saw on Instagram that came across my desk was Schwartz and Sandy's is closing down. And I was not surprised, number one, because I have been there, and I think people assume that Schwartz and Sandy's is near all the other Vanderpump restaurants, like Sir and Tom Tom and those things. It's not. We went to Schwartz and Sandy's not like a year ago or something, and we had to take an Uber. By we, I mean Caroline and I had to take an Uber from where we were staying in West Hollywood. We were staying like walking distance to Sir and Tom Tom and those places. And we had to take like a 10-minute Uber ride to go to Schwartz and Sandy's. It's kind of in this random neighborhood. There's not foot traffic going by, whereas Tom Tom and Sir are like in the heart of West Hollywood. It's like shops and restaurants and people walking everywhere and bars and nightlife. Like it's like a whole thing. Schwartz and Sandy's, not so much. It's literally in a strip mall in a random neighborhood, like 10 minutes away from the other Vanderpump restaurants. Like Tom Tom and Sir are like a 30-second walk from each other. So people really have to go out of their way to go to Schwartz and Sandy's. And so I'm not surprised that it didn't do well, because if you're a huge Vanderpump fan, you are probably staying in the more touristy or nicer area of LA, which is West Hollywood or Hollywood. And those are close to the other Vanderpump restaurants. And so I'm just like not surprised that it closed down, but it is really sad because they put so much work and energy and money and like into that restaurant and it was so beautiful. Like if you walked into Schwartz and Sandy's, as I said, it's like in a strip mall. You walk in and you're like, whoa, like this is so beautiful. The drinks were amazing. We just had drinks at the bar, but yeah, it's really sad. I feel for all the people that work there, all the people that invested in it. And then the news came out that the next season of Vanderpump Rules is going to be an entirely new cast. And it's going to be actual servers from SUR, just like how the original Vanderpump started out, which is a great idea. Like I'm obsessed, but all the other original cast members or all the cast members from last season, no more show. So in my mind, I was like, holy shit, like within 2 days, Tom and Tom's restaurant closed and their show, they're not on the show anymore. So I am curious where all the cast members are going to go. There is a show called The Valley. I don't know if you guys watch that. Jax and Brittany are on that show. And I do think both Sheena and Lala purchased homes in the Valley, which is a neighborhood or subdivision over the hill from West Hollywood. It's like a 25-minute drive. And so now I'm wondering, are Sheena and Brock and Lala gonna be on the Valley now? Kristen Doty is pregnant, which was also exciting Vanderpump news this week. So she will have a baby. Brittany and Jax have a kid, but they're getting a divorce or they're separated now. But they do own a restaurant together and I'm pretty sure they still podcast together. So I don't know. I guess they put business first, which fair enough. Will Lala be on the Valley as well? Because these are such good reality TV people. So they should be on reality TV and they would add a lot of value to the Valley. But then people were saying that the reason they shut down Vanderpump as it was is that it's too expensive. All these people on Vanderpump Rules are now kind of like celebrities in their own right and have all these businesses and stuff outside of Vanderpump Rules. So to pay them to do the show was too expensive for Bravo. But I don't know if I believe that because Vanderpump, was one of the most watched reality TV shows. So why would you not keep it going? And then at the same time, I'm pretty sure all the people that were on Vanderpump Rules, like James, Lala, Sheena, there's no way they would want that show to end. And Tom, like no way. Because in a way, all their businesses that they have outside of being a reality TV star rely on the reality TV show to keep them relevant and in the news and on the top of people's minds. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know. I'm so curious to see what happens. And it made me think about how, was it 2020 when they fired Stassi from Vanderpump? And I was like, oh my God, like she must feel like her life is over. Like she lost all her partnerships, her podcast stopped. She got kicked off of Vanderpump Rules, like fired from Bravo. It was such like a public thing. And now look at the tables have turned. The turntables have turned because Stassi's going to have her own show on Hulu, her very own reality TV show. Her podcast is doing amazing. She's like continuing to write best-selling books. It's crazy. So the tables have turned and now Vanderpump is over anyways. So there you go. There was always talk about Lala being on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Can you imagine? That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to happen, but I feel like she would fit right in. Okay, let's get into our parenting. This is not exactly a parenting topic, but it's about parents, but it doesn't have to do with your children. I came across this article and from Scary Mommy, and it's called "This Mom Wants quote unquote honest answers only," end quote, about other parents' sex lives. This was a TikTok. I went to her Instagram account and I couldn't find it. This was a TikTok and she says, kids are exhausting. Life gets in the way. Sometimes sex is just not a priority. And everyone's sex drive and need for sex is different. Are people really having as much sex as they say, especially tired parents? I'll add in with young children. She says, what is quote unquote normal when it comes to sex frequency? And She says, if you are a mom and you have kids, I have a question for you. I would love just like a really honest answer because I need to know what's normal. Like, what is happening? What's on average normal? So my question to you is, if you're a mom with kids, how often are you doing the deed? How often are you doing it? Like, what's normal? Because I have 3 kids and I'm exhausted. So I would just love to see the answers on this. And I guess a lot of people wrote in their comments, and as would be expected, all of the comments are so different. And I hate how I started to realize this myself. Like, I am not in the season of life right now where I want to be having sex. Like, it's just not top of mind. Like, I never really, and who knows, like, I feel like people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh my God, like there's something wrong with you. Like, maybe you need more testosterone, or like you should check your levels for this. Like, can I just be a person that doesn't really care about sex right now in this phase of my life? I feel like there's so much pressure externally for couples to have sex and feel like their marriage or their relationship is not good if you're not having regular sex. And I just want to say right now, that is not the case. Like, I could not be happier in my relationship, in my marriage. Sure, I miss like more things like snuggles and having like emotional conversations and getting to go on date nights and things like that. But I also have compassion for where we are in our relationship right now with a young child and no family around and no regular babysitter or nanny or childcare options available to us. So I understand. Like, I'm not going to compare our sex life today to when we were in university or he was in residency, I was in my PhD program. I'm not going to compare our current sex life to what we were back then when we were dating and didn't have a child or a house to take care of and 2 super needy dogs. Sorry, bubbles and marbles, but you are. So I'm just sick and tired of content on social media. Like, I know, like, I love a sex expert, okay? I love a sex expert. What you're doing is great. I love your content. I've had people come on the podcast and talk about it, but I don't like the pressure that it puts on couples who are in this stage of their relationship where they have little kids, and then they start to feel guilty and feel like there's something wrong with their relationship and like their marriage is doomed because they're not having sex 3 times a week. Like, I don't want to. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? And all the answers on this TikTok are so different because, and as this article points out, everybody's sex drive is going to be different. Everybody's situation when it comes to childcare and the ability to go on date nights or the ability to even just have a fucking moment alone is different. And it's going to change throughout your relationship. So I just, like, for a while I would feel bad about it. I'm like, oh, like, we like hardly ever have sex, like blah, blah, blah. And then I had to think about it and be like, Renee, like, why are you having those thoughts? Is it because of the stuff that you see on social media and what you assume other people are doing? Or do you actually want to have more sex? And I had to be like, okay, yeah, no, like, I'm actually super happy with how things are right now. In the future, as we have more time, like maybe Milo is a little bit older and we change up our routine in the evening, or like we have quote unquote sleepovers at home, where perhaps I will invite my husband into my bed some evenings and he can sleep over. It's not happening right now, but I'm just saying, like, that's a nice idea in the future. Maybe we will do that. But for right now, I'm just kind of like, I'm happy right now. And if other people are having a ton of sex and that's important to them and they need that to feel like they're in a good marriage or that their relationship is strong, I get it. I don't have that. Like, I don't have this like, oh, if we're not having sex 3 times a week, I feel like we're disconnected from each other. I don't have that at all. You know, when we like snuggle on the couch and watch 90 Day Fiance with our 2 Pomeranians, I'm like in heaven and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So anyways, everybody's different. And I hate the pressure and the internal thoughts. I feel like people don't talk about it because they're going to feel shamed and judged. It's the same with admitting that my husband and I sleep in different beds. People don't talk about it, but every time I put out a piece of content that says that we sleep in separate beds, there's like a million comments from people being like, oh my God, us too. We have for years and it's amazing. But if you're just like at a dinner party and people are talking about sleeping arrangements or something like that, you're probably not going to bring it up because you're like, oh, all these people are going to think we are in an unhappy marriage. Like, that's not the case. Like, can we just stop? Like, can we stop putting pressure on couples, especially when they have young children and they're in this phase of life where sex is not a priority? Like, everybody fuck off. Like, it's fine. We're gonna get through it. If it's super important to one of the people in the relationship, then sure, have a conversation about it. Put aside some time, like try and make it work. But if both people are like, I'm happy just watching 90 Day Fiance in my pajamas and eating chips, like I feel really good about that, then we feel good about that, okay? So anyways, that was like a little bit of a rant. I need to do more topics like that I feel so passionate about. Thank you guys for listening. I am going to continue on my journey of 10 milligrams of Vyvanse, and I will keep you posted. Today I'm getting Botox, I think, in my jaw. So I will give an update on social media about that as well, because the amount of tension in my jaw and the amount of, when I wake up and open up my mouth, it's like my mouth has been clamped shut all night. Like it's not okay. And that's another thing on my list where I was like, Renee, make a change. Like try and sort this out instead of just suffering through it. So I'm going to try Botox in my masseter today. And I'll keep you posted. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And if you want, not if you want, go follow us on YouTube. We are the Mom Room on YouTube. I'm going to start vlogging more. We're going to put up shorts. Obviously, we have the full episodes up there. And follow us on Instagram at the Mom Room. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Tuesday with another guest episode. Have a good day. Bye.